All right, welcome to Tanya's class. And today we're going to talk about the communication model. And there are many communication models because pretty much anybody who wanted to get their doctorate in communication, oh, I have an idea, here's a model. So there are a variety of them, but I want you to learn this one that we're going to talk about today. Now, originally it started out as communication is very linear. I talk, you listen, and then switching over. I talk, now you listen. So they just thought that it was very one way, but then they realized there's so much more going on than just linear communication. So what we're going to do is called the transactional model. Transactional model. So you're going to need like maybe half of your page, and it starts off like this. 2 circles. And inside you write sender and receiver. And over here, sender and receiver. That is correct. Both words go in both circles. It's not one I'm sending and you are receiving and then switching. You are sending and receiving simultaneously. So in this picture, this is one of my classrooms, and let's pretend that I was at the front of the classroom and I have 4 students that I'm looking at. And I could be teaching about the Comm Model, which is super interesting, and I have 2 boys that are like, yes, that's very interesting. They are sending me the message that they're interested, even though I'm the one that's doing the talking. This guy, he's sending me a message that he's tired and doesn't care. This girl is sending me a message that whatever's on her phone is more important. So here I am at the front of the room trying to teach a lesson. I'm the one speaking and sending, yet, boy, am I receiving as well. So you're sending and receiving all of the time. You are always communicating. So be aware of that as you send and receive. All right, the next part right here is a channel. C-H-A-N-N-E-L, a channel. Like that water that goes between England and France, is that the English channel? So that's how the message gets sent. And so here are some examples. You could have a Snapchat. That's one form of a communication. You can have email. That's a different method or channel of communication. Face-to-face. Telephone. This is an old school telephone. You ring, ring. But the telephone is a channel of communication. Oopsies, I pushed the wrong button. A letter can be a channel of communication, a written note, and an answering machine. So, the Snapchat, that's not something that my generation does as much, but it seems that that's something that you guys do. I'm a little bit on the Instagram. I follow some people. So that's sort of a channel. Now, email. There's a time and a place for each one of these channels. It's not that one is better than the other, it's that as a communicator, you need to decide what is the best channel given this situation. So this might fit, you are making cookies, your hair's all crazy, you're in pajamas, and so you just want to send a, having fun, thinking of you, and you don't necessarily want to post it to the whole wide world. There's a time and a place for that. Email. Some of you aren't very comfortable with the email, but you need to get that way. It's very much a part of the business world. Couple of reasons. Because it creates a nice track of where the information has been. It's time-stamped. You could have a manager that said, you never got that project to me, and you can say, I never knew about it. And then he could say, oh, I'll check my emails, and then realize, oh, I guess I never did send it. You can also have a thread, so you know that what somebody else said, and then you added to that conversation, and you can kind of figure out what's been going on. It's a form of documentation. It's quick and it's easy, it's international, and so you do need to become proficient at email because there's a time and a place. When I was teaching in the high school, I really preferred email for communicating with my parents because sometimes if you call on the phone, if you catch the parent off guard, there's a couple of things that can happen. Well, what? And they get defensive, and pretty soon it's the teachers. Well, why didn't you take care of this? Well, why didn't you let me know sooner? Well, you must not be teaching it. And so others, they automatically freak out. I'm going to get to the bottom of this, and then they go angry at their child. I just need them to sit with the information a bit. And so if I email, I can pick my words carefully. I can provide examples without being nervous. And then when the parent received the email, he or she could read it, ask for the student's side of the story, put them together, and hopefully have a calm reply back. And then if they want to schedule a meeting, that would be great, but we've already built that foundation. So an email works better because it lets people think about their ideas. Choose words wisely because you can't take them back. So there's a time and place for email. There's no substitute for face-to-face. You don't have to have a face-to-face relationship with everybody in your world, but you do need to have some. You being in the classroom is a face-to-face conversation, and that brings good things. However, there are online programs that are good, and if you can Skype and you can do some of this. So what I mean by face-to-face is it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be sitting by each other on a park bench. I've seen you guys do FaceTime and it's like you're there, but you do have one conversation and you have the whole sending and the receiving going at the same time. The telephone, sometimes I know that we're texting, we're saying, see you there, now where are you? Well, I'm at that one place. Just pick up the phone. Just get the job done. Sometimes a telephone really is necessary. Now a thank you card. I want you to think about your grandparents that sent you some money for your birthday. And what would be the best channel of communication to thank them? And it's not going to be Snapchat. And it's probably not going to be an email. But it's going to be a written something, because grandparents can treasure that. They can put it in their keepsake. They can put it up on their mantle. They can show their friends that you sent them a note. They can read it and reread it. And it's something that shows I put time and effort and thought into this because you're that important to me. And so there is a time and a place for a written letter or a card. It can be very powerful. It can be strong. And so you need to realize that even if it's not something that you do all the time, there are times that you definitely need to begin. This last one is an answering machine, and it also serves a purpose. I don't know if during the elections you guys got bombarded with messages on the answering machine about who to vote for, what's terrible, but in the day, it was a bigger part of it, voicemail. Once upon a time, I was married to somebody else, and he left the marriage over an answering machine. I came home from work one Friday afternoon and there were messages on my phone, and it was him, and he was saying, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've left, and then the answering machine went so long that it cut him off. He had to call back. Sorry I got cut off, but anyway, I'm out of here. So he left over an answering machine, and your first reaction might be, well, that is a loser, or that is lame, but that channel served his purpose very, very well, because what did it do? If you can imagine me, I'm an emotional crier, so if he would have done it face-to-face, no, please, 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 I'll do anything, please don't go. And to have to turn and walk away from someone that's begging and crying and pleading, that's hard to do. Or if there's somebody who's a yeller and a fighter and a tantrum, whatever, then that's hard to do. And so he wanted the answering machine. Why not write it down? Because then I can keep it for a really long time and I can read it. And to actually think of the words, I am leaving you, it's hard to sit down at a table and pick the words that you're going to use that I can then keep forever. And so I can see why he didn't choose the written letter. This really did work for him. He got the message done, he was gone, there was nothing I could do for the send and the receive. He kind of cut off my whole sending a message back opportunity. It worked well for him. I'm telling you, the channel of communication will really affect your outcome because it's powerful. It can change things. All right, so we have the channel, and that's where the message goes through. And then we have feedback. 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 And this goes along with the idea that you're always sending and receiving. So this is the feedback that you give. There's this movie called Jerry Maguire that stars Tom Cruise, and in it he is a sports lawyer person, recruit, manager, and he falls in love, sort of, with someone, and she's about ready to move, and he has to decide, oh, I'm gonna miss her. So she's getting in the van, and she's getting ready to move, and he runs out, and he goes, wait, 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 don't go. What if we got married? What if that? What do you think? And she was wearing sunglasses at the time, and he was like, what are you going? I can't tell what's happening. And so he takes the sunglasses, and he looks down. Oh, those are happy tears. But the sunglasses made it so that they couldn't see what was happening. What was the emotion behind it? And then look at this. She's wearing sunglasses at their wedding. What is that about? Sunglasses make life tricky because when you look for feedback, you can't see it. Oftentimes, sunglasses play a role in police officers' lives, like if they were to pull someone over. If they are wearing sunglasses, they're going to ask you to take them off. They need to be able to see your eyes. They need to be able to see what's going on, what's happening. And sometimes they choose not to take theirs off. And if they're those mirror kind, and they're looking at you, and you can see your perfect image in their sunglasses, ugh, I hate it when I can see myself in somebody's sunglasses and I'm talking. Because one form of feedback that is really strong is eye contact. You can tell when somebody's happy in their eyes, even if they're doing a fake laugh or whatever, it comes from the eyes. Other types of feedback would be smiling and nodding. Those are good types. You could also have the feedback where somebody is sulking, there's a face, there's pouting. So those are nonverbal. You could also have feedback that's just a short answer. Where do you go to school? Mesa. What are you studying? I don't know. What kind of feedback is that? If you're flirting and you're putting your moves out there and they're only giving you one-word answers, that feedback is telling you, sorry, there's nothing there. So that's a feedback that you're looking for. Is the person that's receiving the message, are they taking it in? Are they liking it? Is it positive? Or do you need to go about it some other way because this isn't working? Next, we have the environment. And this goes all the way around the whole communication thing. The comm environment. Okay, so communication environments can be very, very powerful. In the movie Grease, so John Travolta he's kind of a cool gangster kind of guy, and she's a happy little princess type of person. And in the summer, those all dropped. It didn't matter if he was it's not a greaser back in the day. I don't know. He was a T-bird. And if she was more of a cheerleader type, because in the summer, those fell away. They loved each other. They sang songs about it. And then they had to leave at the end of the summer. They thought they might never see each other again. But then they realized that they were at the same high school, and they first saw each other at a bonfire. And he was like, with his dudes, he was like, oh, hey baby, hey, how's it going? Oh, I don't know. And he was being all weird, and she said, you're a fake and a phony, and I wish I never laid eyes on you. Because he was so different, because he was surrounded by all of his dude friends. Hey, you're funny. The environment affected everything that happened. And the same thing will happen to you, even if it's not in a cheerleading outfit at a bonfire. If you want to talk to somebody and they're playing a video game with all of their friends around, and you come stand in front of the TV and go, I need to talk to you. And the friends are there. That's not going to go well. If you go up to a group of girls and she's with all of her friends and you try to do something, the gaggle of girls will, you're not going to let him say that, or ooh, there's always something that's being said. So you have to realize that the environment is important. If you're asking for a day off in school, or I'm sorry, at work, then you look at your boss and you think, okay, is this the time and the place? What's going on? What's the environment? Are there other people around us? Will that influence the way the boss is acting? What's the boss's mood? I'm telling you that if you ever want to say something to your teacher, you're frustrated or you don't like the way your quiz question turned out, you raise your hand in front of the whole class and say, this isn't fair. This question was lame. And then the rest of the class goes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you think the teacher will go, oh, you guys stop, okay, I'll give you the point. Because of that environment, we have to stand our ground. We have to say, no, I'm the teacher, and that's because I said so. Because it's me against you, and you're making me defensive in front of everybody. If you honestly have a problem with one of the questions, you send an email away from it. When the teacher is calmed down, not in front of people, has time, and you say, I had a question about number 9. And then you say something like, when I studied, I saw it this way, and so that's why I answered it that way. Is there another way that I should look at it? Could you talk about that? You don't necessarily come out and say, so give me the point. You just say, I saw it from this point of view, and then see what happens. But that's going to give you a much better response. The environment that you choose is important on your first date. Whether you choose to go to a Suns game or you choose to go to a symphony. Whether you choose to go dinner and a movie out, or I'm going to make dinner and we'll watch a movie on Netflix at home. Can you see how your first date would be completely different based on that environment? Based on who was there, how loud it was? Is it a date where you can actually talk and get to know each other, or is it a date where you're just sort of having fun watching the sports? The environment you choose sets the stage. So you need to be very particular about where and when you have conversations. The next is interference. Now, interference can mess with any part of the communication process. Interference. And there's 2 types of interference. There's both external and internal. So, in this group, she's holding her nose because, ew, someone doesn't smell very good. This guy's looking at his watch. Is this class almost over? This girl, there's too much noise outside, she can't hear. This girl, she's in love. And this one, she's feeling sick. All of these are examples of interference. We all have interference going on in our lives at any given time. A good communicator then realizes that I've got to get rid of some of these interferences so that I can focus. An interference might be, is my teacher still teaching? Because it's about time to go. And so that's going to be in your mind more than what the teacher is saying. How you feel about someone is going to change the interference. If you're like, oh, he said it again, ugh, I hate that. And basically you have a filter of ugh, the whole time that they're talking. Or if you have a crush on them, you know, when you have a crush, you say things differently, you react differently, you're a little bit more Twitter-pated and happy, and sometimes you're like, that's not really who I am. There's a lot of different types of interference. Your cell phone, there could be construction outside. If you're a mom, it could be your kid. Mom, mom, mom. Oh, that's interference. But it could also be internal. You're hungover from last night. You're excited about a date. You're worried about speaking in public. People will think that you look stupid. This hurts. I don't like this. I have a headache. That's all interference. So these are important principles of communication. The model is something that affects everything, whether you're speaking in public because you have an audience that provides feedback, whether you're in a small group, you're trying to make a decision together, that provides feedback when someone pulls a face or when someone says, I don't care. That's all feedback. The environment that you're in, what are the people doing around you? That affects you both in public speaking, that affects you in interpersonal, which is between 2 people. So you can see that the communication model will spread from whatever situation that we're talking about. And next time, we'll talk more about the principles of communication that apply to every type. So, welcome to the communication model.